Chapter 3 Pliny's Tall Tales. The Romans, with their great empire, had a genius for government and for war and for many other things, but they had little genius for science. They were a practical people. To watch the doings of a catfish in a riverbed would have seemed to them a hopeless waste of time. It is true that Galen, who was a physician in the school of gladiators at Rome during the time of Marcus Aurelius, added some new information on how men's bodies functioned, and Dioscorides, who was a military surgeon under Marcus Aurelius, made a list of herbs that could be used in treating various ailments, and it illustrated with little drawings. But on the whole, science observation came to a stop under the Romans. This does not mean that the Romans were completely uninterested in science. In fact, they were quite interested in it, but they did not want to add anything to what had already been found out or to make any new observations. They wanted to make compilations of what other people had discovered. This was what Gaius Plinius Secundus spent his time doing, Pliny the Elder, as we call him now. Pliny was born in the 1st century AD and was well educated by good private teachers in Rome. He had a military command in Germany for a long time and afterward became a commander of the Roman fleet. But all the time he was leading his official life, he managed to study and to write, not putting into writing his own ideas or his own observations, but assembling what other men had learned. He wrote on military science, on history, on rhetoric, and linguistics, but the only work that has been preserved is his work on natural history. Pliny's natural history is a staggering piece of work. It is an encyclopedia of all the scientific knowledge that was known down to his time. It is divided into 37 books, which deal with the universe, with geography, anthropology, zoology, botany, including the medicinal uses of plants, and mineralogy. He said he consulted 2,000 books in making it and talked with animal keepers in Roman circuses and with priests who made sacrifices in the temples. The information was secondhand and much of it untrue. But when Pliny died in 79 AD in the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, he had added practically nothing to men's store of knowledge. He had not even found a way to classify the facts already known. Yet it is interesting to look through Pliny's natural history, if only to smile at its vagaries. In his book on animals, he makes a list of all the animals he has ever heard of, and since he does not know how to arrange them, he puts the largest ones first and considers them the most important. He describes the habitats of every animal and the mischief they can do, and when it was first exhibited in Rome. He loves marvels and puts down every strange fact he can find. He says there are fools who believe in sirens, in griffins, or in birds with heads of horses. But then he describes quite seriously men who bark like dogs, lands where the sun casts no shadow, and people with one but leg and a single foot apiece. Their feet are so enormous that when it is hot they lie on their backs, and each one uses his foot as an umbrella for shade. The elephants, since this is the biggest, he considers the most important of all animals. Quote, amongst the land animals, the elephant is the largest and the one whose intelligence comes nearest to that of man, he said. Quote, for he understands the language of his country, obeys commands, has a memory for training, takes delight in love and honor, and possesses a rare thing even amongst men, honest self-control and a sense of justice. He also worships stars and venerates the sun and moon. In the mountains of Mauritania, it is said that herds of elephants move at new moon down to a river by the name of Amilo, ceremoniously cleanse themselves there by spraying one another with water, and after having thus paid their respects to the heavenly light, return to the forest, bearing their weary calves with them. It is also said that when they are to be transported overseas, they refuse to go on board until their master of the ship has given them a promise under oath to convey them back again. Unquote. One of Pliny's ideas about animals has persisted in some places even to this day, was that every animal, every fish or insect, must in some way be useful to man. So he asks, of what use is an ant? Or what use is a viper? He never considers that each creature has its own life to live, its own independent activity, its own birth and hunger and death, without relation to the life of man. Whatever the source, however, strange or contradictory facts, Pliny put them all down till his natural history grew bigger and bigger. Its very size is impressive. People began to think that facts in it must be true. They had taken so long to put together. Gradually, as the Roman Empire spread and then crumbled away, Pliny's great volumes were held to be more and more important. No one questioned their authority. What Pliny had written remained the main source of man's knowledge of natural history for nearly 1,500 years.